Hello and welcome to Reef Talk. I'm Scott Anderson and I'm here with Steve Rotter from RotterTube Reef and CJ from CJ's Aquarium. And today we're going to talk about the differences between an all-in-one aquarium and more of the component setup like some of us have. So CJ's been running an all-in-one for quite some time. So he has a spectacular reef with this all-in-one. So we're going to kind of find out how he does it, what he's doing, and we're going to kind of compare and contrast to our current tanks. So CJ, can you just kind of walk us through your setup and what you have and how it works?
This current tank I'm running, it's not one I made myself. It's one of the JBJ all-in-one. This is the 45 gallon, the bigger size that they offer. It has the curved glass. 3 chambers in the back. It's really simple. I would say, as far as equipment and things, I'm running just a normal skimmer. A Tunzi 9004 skimmer. I have a Innovative Marine, one of the mini reactors running on it, and a JBJ auto top off. As far as equipment, that's it. So it's pretty straightforward.
I'm glad that you can be on the show. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. Now, as you can see in the back there, CJ's 45-gallon nano cube is awesome. I mean, look at those. Damn, look at those corals. I mean, they're full, they're flowing, they look awesome. What do you do? Do you have any secrets? What tricks? I mean, is there anything to get them so nice and lush like that?
Man,
Like,
honestly,
are you dosing anything?
Well, as far as dosing, I am using calc. That's it. I mean, I just do water changes, and I'm using the maximum saturation of calc right now. I actually just put a video up of a mishap I had that might end up being the biggest mistake I've ever made because I have elevated levels right now. Calcium at around 500, mag at close to 15. And alkalinity setting around 10, and my corals have never seemed happier, except for that leather. I don't know if you all can see them back there, but there's a leather coral. Let me try to take you in. That is still pissed off. So I don't know if he's gonna bounce back. The devil's hand was in bad shape, but he's coming back. But the leather, I'm thinking that he may be just shedding. Sometimes, leather corals, they'll do that, and they won't be happy until they're done. So I'm hoping that's the case. But yeah, that's it, man. Just straight calc and 5-gallon water changes every 2 weeks. That's it.
Every 2 weeks. That's it, huh?
I'm telling you.
It looks really good. And that's the 45-gallon JBJ, right?
That's right. That's right.
I started out with the 28-gallon JBJ, and I absolutely love them. And I didn't know if I should go with a bigger tank at first. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I got the 28-gallon nano cube. Absolutely loved it. Never had any problems with the thing. Nitrates were low. And I think one big reason for that is doing a weekly water change of 5 gallons with a 28-gallon when you've got rocks in there. Probably 20 gallons. I was doing like a 25% water change every week.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
It's pretty big.
So you said you've had... you've had an aquarium with a sump before too, right?
Yeah, I have, and that's part of the reason I wanted to join you all today, because there are some differences, and the tank I had before was a 37-gallon marine lead cube. I have a playlist of like 20 videos starting from the beginning of building that tank till the time it kind of diminished. And I say diminished, it means everything died off. It just didn't work out. And one thing I will tell you, it's fun building and, going through the build and, making your own sump. Because I actually built a nano sump out of a 5.5-gallon tank. Ended up working out pretty good. But it's definitely some differences, using a tank with a sump and an all-in-one like this, I'll tell you for sure. But one of the main things I would say, because a lot of people are, like, hey, should I get an all-in-one or should I get a sump? It boils down to tank size. I mean, if you think about it, what are you gaining from a sump? You're looking for extra water volume. You're looking for places to hand your equipment. So much and so forth, whatever. But when you're running a nano tank, for example, my 37-gallon cube, the stand underneath, I can fit with a 10-gallon tank under there. So just think about it. This is a 45-gallon tank. It's 21 inches from front to back, I believe. And 4 or 5 of those inches is actually the sump in the back. So the inside of the escape is only what's left. So maybe 6 or 7 gallons of water in the back that are available. So I'm really not gaining a lot of water volume either way. So it boils down to how you want it to look and how much access you want to have, really.
So with your all-in-one tank, that back section is actually acting like the sump, right? That's kind of what it's for?
Yeah, it actually is. That's exactly what it is. So I say if I was to compare them both, when I say the size of the sump matters, I'm really thinking of the equipment and how it's going to look. Because if you think of skimmers, like your tank, Scott, you got that huge monster tank. Your skimmer is as tall as my kids. Imagine if they was to design an all-in-one tank that big. Where would you put all the equipment? It would be impossible. It would look like a science project. You know what I'm saying? It would work, but it just wouldn't look good. So when you think of the skimmers that are required for this tank and even my all-in-one, this all-in-one and my 37-gallon cube, both the skimmers were small. Hey, no problem. Refugiums, I mean, that's that topic is debated, but in my opinion, I don't feel like a refugium on this tank is really going to do much for me as far as exports because it's too small for the water volume. So if you X that out, it's like, what's the reason for having a sump? So basically, I'm kind of dancing around the answer to this. I would say if you're getting a smaller tank, I would say this size or any tank that's going to require equipment that's still small, go for an all-in-one. That way you don't have to worry about any problems with flooding or, power outage test or any of that crap. You have it here. It's there. It's easy to access, and you're done with it. If you're going bigger than that to where the equipment won't be able to hide easily, go with the sump. I mean, that's pretty much, in a nutshell, that's it. And there's lots of different reasons if you guys have questions as far as specifics, but I mean, that's kind of my feeling on it. Now, my next tank, I'm thinking maybe 180 gallons, probably my plans.
Ooh, nice.
Down the road, not yet. I still got some mastering to do. Like I said, my first tank failed miserably. I did all the bad stuff. I didn't dip my corals at all. I didn't quarantine fish. I didn't quarantine fish on this, and that bit me. But I dip all my corals. Haven't had one case of brand jelly. You all see all the corals, how big they are.
Yeah.
All these euphyllias, I love euphyllias. They are my favorite coral. And
oh yeah, me too.
Man, my last tank, I mean, I had a tank full of euphyllias. I mean, I hit the mother load on Craigslist, and I was getting colonies for like $50 of like 8 heads, of frog spawn, huge pieces. Wow. And I had that tank full and ended up not dipping some things, and before you know it, heads start melting here, heads start melting there. I had like a Solomon Island octospawn, which I've never seen again since then. It just melted to pieces. I had gold torches, I had pink ones, everything in that tank just melted. Terrible. So
how long ago did you have that tank?
It was a year ago, actually. It was 3 months before I started this. When I started this one, this is about 9 months old now. So, yeah, I would say that last tank ended about this time last year. So,
you still have it?
No, I actually sold it off. The parts that were remaining, partly because it was failing and it was, a frustration and disappointment. Yeah. Another thing was, had a kid on the way. He was moving into a house, just bought a house, and I had a 75-gallon cichlid tank as well, and I didn't want to have to deal with both. So, but I told everyone, it was funny when I did that video and I was selling it. I was like, I'm done for now, blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, I got JBJ.
But I think you made it. You made a huge point.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if you're like somebody who moves a lot, right? Like you're living in an apartment or you move, an all-in-one is brilliant from that because you can just take it from countertop to countertop. It just literally picks up and goes.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge bonus for the all-in-one tank. I couldn't imagine moving my tank.
No, that would be a disaster. I love the all-in-ones. I really do. They're great. And then another cool thing, if you do it what you're doing now, which is what I did, as we talked about before, when you get your 180, you can then use this as your quarantine tank. You know?
Oh, yeah.
That would be a great size for the fish in case, God forbid, you had to quarantine them. That's what
or two tanks.
Huh?
Or 2 tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 tanks. Yeah, that's probably what I'll end up doing. I don't know if I could ever get rid of this tank though.
That's a gorgeous tank.
I can get rid of the stand. I hate the stand. Stand on these tanks is absolute crap. I'll tell you that for sure.
They're very cheap. They work, but they're cheap. Yeah. Man,
I'm telling you, man. My son runs his little toys into it, and I'm just wondering one day if he's gonna get enough momentum, and down goes the tank. So it definitely is a bit of a headache, but yeah. Who knows, man? Who knows what the future is going to hold? But did you guys have any questions as far as on this tank, or I know it's a lot to cover.
So you run a skimmer on that tank, and you said you had a Tunzi. Is that correct?
Yeah, the 9004, the end sump skimmer, the one that fits inside your sump if you got one.
Oh.
I've heard a lot of good on that skimmer. Do you accredit that to being a big part of why your tank is so successful?
I'll tell you what, I've never run a tank without a skimmer, so I say I will be biased to say yes. But all of the stuff I get out of that collection cup, I would say it's definitely helped, man.
Huh.
I can tell. I mean, it's literally, if I was to feed my tank, some frozen food like some Reef Nano, which I do, to feed my corals and my fish, like the next day, immediately the skimmer cup is full of that nasty. I mean, it's cause and effect. If there's nothing going on in my tank, skimmer's, he's chilling. If I do something, it's pulling it out. So it does a pretty good job.
Huh. I never used a skimmer when I had my 28 nano cube, never. And I was fine. But you've got more fish than I did. That's really nice. What fish do you have in there now? I thought I saw a blenny somewhere along the rock there.
Yeah, I got a lawnmower blenny in here, and back in the back, I haven't gotten them out yet because we've been talking. I have a diamond spot goby that was responsible for keeping every bit of this sand clean. He has been killed or croaked. I don't know what happened to him, but he's pretty much being demolished at the moment. But as far as wrasses, I actually just picked up another wrasse yesterday. This flasher or Macostus wrasse. I don't know the exact name of him. I got him. I have a yellow coarse wrasse. Now that's why I have a Christmas wrasse. They're all getting along great. Got a flame angel, that yellow-tailed damsel, and I also have a blue judging blenny. I don't know what's called, goby or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Dartfish. I don't know what you call him, but he hides out. You never see him. So that's the current stock list right now, with the clowns as well. These are fancy clowns as well. At least that's what I purchased them as. They got a pretty cool pattern on them. These are the replacements for the asshole clown I had that was biting me every time that I put in that vid. I remember myself getting rid of him. He has been traded for these two. So I'm pretty excited to see how they grow up. But I keep looking at my tank. I do this all the time. It's not just a video. I'm always looking at my tank, man. So.
Oh, I know, man. I know. I don't watch TV really much at all, ever. Really. I just like to lay on the couch and I just watch the tank. It's awesome. Yeah, I understand. I keep, while you're talking, I'm just watching your tank constantly, man. It's just
give you guys awesome. A better view.
I love it. Yeah, let everyone check it out. Actually, put it up to them. Let's get a.
Yeah, let's see. Let me get you off the little tripod.
They are just.
Let's see.
Awesome, man. I mean,
that is one spectacular tank.
I like the Coral Master. I can't.
Yeah, it's probably blurred out, but I just picked up these little Zoas. I don't know if they're radioactive something. I don't know what they're called, but I really like the color of those.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got the frog spawn
torch.
there, and the
Oh
torch.
yeah, that's my favorite. That's
Yeah,
my favorite.
mine too. The frog spawn and the hammer. I love the torches. Are
Frog spawns are
gorgeous.
great.
I had bad luck with my torches, man. I can't. They're hard to keep. Those look spectacular. Yeah, man, mine just bit the dust.
Yeah, I love that gold torch. This torch here is I'm really wanting to trade this, and I want one of those red. I think it's called gonopores or whatever. Is that the right name?
Yeah, it is. The
You know what I'm
flower,
talking about?
You're talking about the flower pot coral?
Yeah, the ones that flow.
Yeah.
Because when I look at my tank, I really it's nothing in here happened by accident.
Yeah.
You know, it's really planned out as far as an escape. When I look at it, the overall feel, even when I'm placing corals, I think about when the tank lights come on.
Right.
Where do I want my colors to pop? You know, I got
Right.
red down here. My anemone, which is MIA, was beautiful. You know, it was right there. Big red rose bubble anemone, which is hiding. And then, you know, where else are my colors at? I want something red down here.
Yeah.
So that was my thinking. And plus, he's getting too big, and you know, my fish are scared to swim through because they're getting stung to death. So, but that's my plan. So, I mean, if that leather croaks, you know, I may end up. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that because that's gonna free up a lot of real estate. I don't know if I'm gonna maybe put some more euphyllias or something that encrust to leave the scape where you can see it, or maybe get another leather kind of like that, but a green one, like one of the what is it called, a singular, or is that what they're called? I'm not sure, but the green ones that flow, the green finger leathers. I'm making one of those, so we'll see, man. But
So,
I tell you,
are you talking about the Sinulera leathers?
yeah, is that what they're called? I'm not good with the name.
Yeah, so they're the spaghetti leathers, and you have one that looks exactly like mine.
That's what you were telling me to get.
And yeah, exactly. And here's what's weird. You're talking about green versus pink. I've got some in my frag tank that are green, and they're cuttings off of my pink colony. What happens is if you put them under really blue light, they turn green.
Huh.
Under more of a white light, they're pink. So it takes a while. But yeah, when I first got mine, he was green. Then he turned pink. I put the cuttings under the really blue lights, and now the cuttings are green.
Oh man, look, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where are those spaghetti leathers, CJ? Where? Show me those again. I want to see what yours look like.
Well, that's the one that's actually not open. The one that's shriveled back there.
Okay.
When this thing is open, he reaches up halfway towards that devil's hand.
Yeah.
He's that tall to the point to where he's getting blasted by the MP10, which is another question I'm having because this MP10 I'm thinking about switching out as well because he's really doing a number. I know leathers like a lot of flow, but that finger leather gets punished. And the way I have my tank set up with the coral location, I'm kind of limited. I mean, whenever you're placing corals, you got to look at it one of two ways. Either you're going to let your flow dictate your coral placement, or you're going to let your coral placement dictate your flow as far as where you put them.
Yep.
So, and once you get so far along, you know, with placing your corals and you get like your overall idea, you get kind of locked in. That's the point I am. So this left side of the tank, I don't have any soft corals along the left side because they can't take the punishment of the water coming around. And I have my, you know, this torch is the only thing that can really take the punishment. This frog spawn right here, trust me, he wouldn't be happy at all. He would be getting beat to death. So, so I'm thinking of maybe swapping that guy out for a Gyro 130. So, hey, I'll keep you guys up to date. My reason for it is the MP10 is great, but I really want a sheet of water to go across the top and hit both sides and come around. Now, I can accomplish that if I put the MP10 in the middle and up, but the problem is the MP10s pull water from the top and bottom and all around, and you get that vortex, and then you get bubbles and the tornado all in your tank, and the gyro pulls it from the bottom, so I can keep it as close to the water line as I want, get that sheet across without, you know, getting those bubbles. So that's just my thought. That's kind of a sidebar, but you know, I think a lot as far as the tank goes.
That's a great idea, and that would definitely be something I would keep for when you get your 180, you know, for the more flow. I've got an MP40 on one end of my 125. I want to get another MP40 for the other end of the 125, and then I'm going to set the settings to be different. So while this might be for the reef setting, I'm going to have this be a different one so they kind of conflict and have more flow. But that is a really nice pump. And man, you're totally ready to move on. Those corals are, damn, they're gorgeous. And you know what? The flower pot coral, I've had them, and people say that they're very hard to keep. If you can let it live for 3 months, you're really lucky. Mine survived for 9 months, then it died. So I think you'll have really good luck. I mean, I'm amazed at the torch, man. It just looks really nice.
Man, that Duncan, man, when I purchased that Duncan, some of the first corals I purchased when I set this tank up were Duncan coral, this green frog spawn, and the GSP, actually. The GSP was the size of a quarter at the time. It's already spread, and it's doing exactly what I want. I want it to reach all the way to the water line. I want GSP from the water line all the way down to right there. He's isolated on that rock so he can't jump around. And then, but this Duncan, it was 6 heads when I purchased it, and now I would say about 25. I mean, no jokes aside. I mean, I can really pan if I can pan in, but we're on the Skype. I can't pan in, but if I could, I mean, you can see. Of course, there's the big heads. It's like 8 big ones that are flowing, but all along the bottom, each little thing is a head going all the way around it, and it's still growing. I've had to move it, around because of my rose bubble tip. Playing keep away from a rose bubble tip is really something that's frustrating me. But
you know what? You said something I was going to throw in. I've got a rose bubble tip, and it's hiding. It shrunk down to the size of the tip of your finger. It won't open up. Those guys are a hassle, man.
Yeah, definitely, it definitely is. But he was stinging the hell out of my Duncan, so I had to move him down here. So, but we'll see. But yeah, the frog spawn, he was 4 heads when I purchased him. He now has 5 heads. Hasn't split again, but it's still getting bigger. So, I mean, that thing, I would say it's about max size right now as far as how much it inflates. But, hey, I'm just looking forward to watching this tank, man, because this is uncharted territories for me. When you first have a reef tank, everyone wants to start off and say, hey, I got a reef tank. But then you reach the point of, hey, I got a reef tank. How long can I keep a reef tank?
Right.
And that's the point I'm at. My first one, it looked great. I mean, 4 months in, everything was lively and all of that. And then it was just slow, painful decline. I'm at 9 months now, and my tank is still going up. So I'm trying to keep that trend. I'm trying to get to the point to where it's 2 years later, and everything's growing, everything's still alive. And, no big problems. When I can do that for 2 years, then I know I'm ready for a big tank, because it's easy. It's easy starting in the hobby, but it's hard, maintaining. So
yeah, it definitely is. It looks like you've got it down, and I like how you've got it set where where you want your colors to pop. How you said it's like an art. You're placing things and even colors that you want to see, even at night when they all light up, and that's going to really make it. And you've got it really set up well. How things are on the left flowing, and then it goes down, and on the right, and how it climbs up to the water line. It's like a really nice setup. It's balanced really well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I'll tell you, like I said, I'm still learning with this calc and levels and stuff. I see a lot of people kind of starting the hobby without having any roots as far as nitrogen cycle and even the basics. I had Mbuna for a year and a half or so. I really kind of got my feet wet with learning about those things, and moving over to saltwater, I felt like I was ready. But it wasn't until I got this tank, my second tank, that I really started appreciating parameters as far as your your magnesium and your alkalinity and things. You get to the point to where in freshwater you're like, tank's running itself, it's fine, it's cycled, it's not too much you really have to do, it's on autopilot. But if you let your saltwater tank go on autopilot, it's gonna crash and burn on its own. You gotta watch your levels. So, and that's something I'm still learning. I'm still I'm still battling with. I do have my days of just wanting to wing it. It's kind of almost caught up with me, but it's just something I encourage people study up, just study up, man. I always check, just like I was telling Scott the other day. Well, probably not the other day, a long time ago. I liked his vids as far as his vlog, kind of just talking about things, because there's always something you can learn just from watching someone else's videos, but not just their videos, doing the homework yourself. I mean, when I say I research, I don't mean I just watch YouTube.
Yeah.
I read everything online, as far as all of the, all the forum pages. Take those with a grain of salt, of course. The Reef magazine books, catalogs, like the Mr. Saltwater Tank guy, whatever, whoever he is, the catalogs thing he has. I've read through those. Guys at the pet stores, I pick their brain. And one thing I will say, not to offend anyone or anything, but I really don't ask help or take advice from people that I don't see their proof. Meaning, have you done it? Have you practiced what you're doing, or are you just regurgitating what you've read? So I would suggest, just like you said, I think you said in one of your videos before, do your homework from multiple sources. Get it all together, do what makes sense, try it. Hey, document it like I do, the good and the bad, and let everyone learn from you. That's pretty much what I'm doing.
That's exactly right. That's perfect. And like Scott was telling me too, just kind of what you said, and it goes along with, not everything will work for everyone's tank for some reason. Like some people can keep blue tangs more than others, and some people can keep certain corals more than others. It's the way you do things, but it's also the parameters that you keep, and also your tank chemistry. So, your tank, I might not be able to get corals that nice, but I might be able to keep something else that you can't because of the way your chemistry is set up. So, exactly, you gotta find different sources and balance them all out, and then test them all and see what works best for you. Man, it's a lot of work.
It is.
I've heard it's a lot of work, but damn, it takes a lot of time,
Man, it takes a lot of time and a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's not skip that. I mean, whoever came up with the myth of keeping a cheap saltwater tank, get out of here.
Yeah.
You're not telling the truth. Now, you can try to keep cheap equipment, but the real money in saltwater tanks, once you get past equipment, is the corals. Corals cost so much money, especially if you end up getting, bigger pieces. Like the ones I purchased, they already had 4 or 5 heads on them. I don't buy little frags. When I go get something, I'm trying to get something that, it's going to satisfy me.
Right.
I don't want to look at little things. Of course, you let things grow, but if you get an opportunity to get something nice, get it. And it's going to cost you money.
Yeah, and it I don't know, it seems to me that when you do get the larger heads, that you have a better chance of surviving than a little frag. I mean,
I'll tell you what, there's some truth to that. My last tank, I had smaller pieces, and I didn't have nowhere now. Of course, I probably had other factors into that, but I haven't had any issues with these larger ones. You're right. I haven't lost one Euphilia at all.
It seems like the more established they are, the more of a chance they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Now,
well, I'll take that back. That would be a lie. I did lose one Euphilia. I had a reverse it was a hammer coral. It was actually green and purple. Look back in I think my second or third vid or something. It was a wall corals, one of those wall hammer corals.
Oh yeah.
Lost that one. He flipped upside down on the sand bed. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I've heard that if one of your Euphilias flip in the sand bed, whatever the bacteria, whatever the things are in your sand bed, they can kill your Euphilia corals.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. That actually happened to that wall coral I had. I tried to clean it off, and it ended up declining and just melting into its skeleton and just dying. So who knows? I don't know if you guys been around long enough to know if that's true or not.
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It makes sense that it would work that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the big questions I've got for CJ is his angel. So you've got that red angelfish. I'm scared of the angelfish in my tank. Flame angels are beautiful. Are you having any problem with it eating your corals?
Have not. witnessed it eating, so I can't tell you for sure. Hey, he's an honest man. You know, I never seen it. I've never seen him eat anything. Now, as far as any corals that have shown damage, I haven't seen anything until recently. On my devil's hand, a couple of the tips of the fingers were kind of looked like the flesh had gotten picked off of them.
Mm.
Now, I haven't seen anything doing it. The other night, I watched my lawnmower blenny. As the, you know, when that devil's hand was pissed off from my incident over this last week, he was up there picking at the coral, but it looked like he was just trying to get the algae off of it. So maybe he bit too hard on the end. Or maybe he's just getting blamed because he's the only one I've seen doing it. So who knows? But the jury's still out on that, Scott. So I would say, you know, every fish is different. I haven't witnessed it. I'm just go for it. Honestly, the people who I look at my tank a lot. When I say a lot, I mean every day, at least an hour and a half a day. I'm finding time to watch my tank. So, so I can tell you, I haven't seen it. When I tell you I haven't seen it happen, I haven't seen it happen. You know, I'm not going days without looking at my tank. So, you know.
Do you feed the corals anything? Do you give them any attention? Like the Duncans, do you do anything, or do you kind of just let things happen as they do from what's in the water already?
I do feed my corals. I feed my corals Reef Nano whenever I feed my fish. Normally, what I'll do is you know, I break off about a dime size. I don't use a lot. Throw it out in tank water. I take a little bit and I just squirt it in the power head with all the flow on it first. Let it whip around the tank. Let the fish kind of get their first little nibbles. Let the shrimp go crazy and let them catch whatever they can. And once I start seeing the polyps opening, especially like on the brain coral down here, I don't know if you can see it, but this guy, his feeders will. I don't know if am I getting him? Can you see him?
Yeah.
His feeders will start coming out after about 4 minutes of the food being floating around.